it requisite to furnish public spectacles splendidly, or three*ranked galleys, or to feast the city. But in all things, as we have said, it must be considered who the agent is, and what the means are which he possesses. For the expense ought to be such as is worthy of the means, and not only adapted to the work, but also to him by whom it is effected. Hence, a poor cannot be a magnificent man ; for he has not the means of spending much in a becoming manner. The poor man, therefore, who endeavours to do so is stupid ; for such an endeavour is repugnant to his means, and to the becoming. But that which is done rightly, is done according to virtue. Such expense, however, becomes those who possess hereditary wealth, or have procured it themselves, or have derived it from their ancestors, or by legacy. And it likewise becomes those who are noble, and renowned, and other persons of the like kind ; for all these have magnitude and dignity. The magnificent man, therefore, is especially a person of this description. And magnificence, as we have said, consists in such like expenses ; for they are the greatest, and the most honourable. With respect to private expenses, however, those pertain to the magnificent man, which are incurred but once, such as marriage, and whatever also there may be of the like kind, and that about which the whole city is earnestly occupied, or those who are in the dignified situation. Also such expenses as pertain to the receiving and dismissing of strangers, together with gifts and remunerations. For the magnificent man does not spend sumptuously on himself, but on the public. But gifts have something similar to things consecrated to the gods. It is also the province of a magnificent man to build a house in a manner adapted to wealth ; for this also is a certain ornament, and to bestow more upon those works which are more lasting, for these are most beautiful. It is likewise his province in each of these to observe the becoming ; for the same things are not adapted to gods and men, either in building a temple or a sepulchre. And every essence, indeed, is great in its own kind, and that is most magnificent which is great in a great thing. But that is so in the second place which is great in these things. For there is a difference between magnitude in a work, and magnitude in expense. Since a ball, indeed, or a most beautiful jug, possesses the magnificence of a childish gift, but the price of these is small and illiberal. On this account it is the province of a magnificent man to do magnificently whatever he may do, in every genus of things. For a thing of this kind cannot easily be transcended, and the magnitude of the expense is appropriate. Such, therefore, is the magnificent man. But he who exceeds and is vulgarly ostentatious, exceeds by spending, as we have before observed, beyond what is becoming. For in small things, and which require but small expense, he consumes much money, and is discordantly splendid. Thus, for instance, he will prepare a wedding dinner through ostentation, and give money to players who are present at the entertainment, as if it were for the public advantage. And in plays he will introduce a purple curtain before the scenes, as is done by the Megarensians. He will likewise do every thing of this kind, not for the sake of the beautiful in conduct, but that he may display his wealth, and fancies that on account of these things he shall be admired. In things likewise where much expense is required, he spends but little ; but where little expense is required, he spends largely. The parsimonious man, however, is deficient in every thing ; and when he has incurred a great expense, then looking to the completion of the work, by a too accurate investigation, he leaves it imperfect through too little expense. Every thing also which he does is accompanied with delay and consideration ; and on this account he laments, and fancies that he does every thing on a larger scale than he ought. These habits, therefore, are vices ; yet they do not bring with them disgrace, because they are neither injurious to others, nor base in the extreme. CHAPTER III. But magnanimity is conversant with great things, as is evident from the very name. What the quality of the things is, however, with which it is conversant, we must in the first place consider. But it makes no difference whether we survey the habit, or him who subsists according to the habit. He, however, appears to be magnanimous, who deserving great things, thinks that he deserves them. For he who thinks thus of himself undeservedly is stupid ; but no one who is endued with virtue is either stupid or a fool. The above mentioned character, therefore, is magnanimous. For he who deserves small things, and thinks that he deserves them, is a modest but not a magnanimous man ; since magnanimity consists in magnitude, just as beauty consists in a large body. For small men are elegant, and have symmetry of form, but are not beautiful. He, however, who thinks that he deserves great things, but thus thinks undeservedly, is proud ; though not every one is proud, who deserving many things, thinks he deserves more. But he who estimates himself less than he deserves, is pusillanimous, if deserving things of a moderate or small nature, he thinks himself to deserve still less than these. And he will especially appear to be a character of this kind, who, deserving great things, has this humiliating opinion of himself. For what would he do if he were not deserving of such things? The magnanimous man, therefore, is in magnitude the summit, but in that which is requisite the middle ; for he thinks himself deserving of that which he does deserve. But the other characters exceed and are deficient. Hence, if deserving great things, he thinks that he deserves them, and especially if he deserves the greatest things, he will principally be conversant with one thing. What this is, therefore, must be assumed from desert ; and desert is denominated with reference to external goods. We must, however, consider that as the greatest of external goods, which we attribute to the gods, after which those who are in a dignified situation especially aspire, and which is the reward of the most beautiful deeds. But honour is a thing of this kind ; for this is the greatest of external goods. The magnanimous man, therefore, is conversant with honour and dishonour in such a manner as is proper. And indeed, without any reasoning process, the magnanimous appears to be conversant with honour. For great men especially think themselves deserving of honour, but they think so deservedly. The pusillanimous man, however, is deficient both with respect to himself, and the desert of the magnanimous man. But the proud man exceeds, indeed, with respect to himself, yet not with respect to the magnanimous man. The magnanimous man, however, if he is deserving of the greatest things, will be the best of men ; for a better character always deserves something greater, and the best of characters deserves the greatest of things. Hence it is necessary that the truly magnanimous man should be a good man, and that which is great in every virtue will appear to belong to the magnanimous man. Nor does it by any means accord with the character of the magnanimous man to fly agitated with fear, or to injure any one. For on what account will he act basely, to whom nothing is great? But from a survey of particulars, the magnanimous man will appear to be ridiculous, if he is not a good man. Nor, indeed, will he be worthy of honour, if he is a bad man ; for honour is the reward of virtue, and is conferred on good men. Magnanimity, therefore, appears to be, as it were, a certain ornament of the virtues ; for it causes them to be greater, and does not exist without them. On this account it is truly difficult to be magnanimous ; for it is not possible to be so without integrity and worth. The magnanimous man, therefore, is especially conversant with honour and dishonour. And with great honours, indeed, and those which are conferred by worthy men, he is moderately pleased, as being things familiar and adapted to him, or rather less than he deserves. For there can be no honour equal to the desert of all perfect virtue. Nevertheless, he will admit these honours, because they have not any thing greater to confer upon him. But he will entirely despise the honour which is paid him by casual persons, and for things of a trifling nature ; for these do not accord with his desert. And in a similar manner he will despise dishonour, for it will not justly befal him. The magnanimous man, therefore, as we have said, is especially conversant with honour. Nevertheless, with respect to wealth also, and power, and all prosperous and adverse fortune, he will conduct himself in these moderately, in whatever manner they may take place. And neither in prosperity will he be very much elated, nor in adversity very much dejected. For neither is he affected with respect to honour, as if it were the greatest of things, since dominion and wealth are eligible on account of honour. Those, therefore.